tal amigos de GuTech? Estamos de nuevo aquí desde Las Vegas, desde el CES, la primera feria de tecnología de este año 2018, donde presentaremos los mejores adelantos, las empresas más visionarias y todas las novedades que desde acá se presentan para el mundo de la tecnología.
Awesome. All right. Welcome once again to CES 2018. We're so glad you're here. You know, each and every year, the staff, we say, I think we're going to need a bigger room. So thank you very much indeed for coming, because there's a lot of people in the seats, but as usual, everybody lined in the back. So we're really glad that you've chosen to kick off CES here at Unveil this evening. And what a week it's going to be here in Las Vegas, because CES has truly become a showcase for the entire continuum of consumer technology. And that's exactly what Leslie and I are going to talk through in the next 40 minutes and change. So what do we mean by that? Well, first we're going to explore those B2B technologies. We like to describe those as ingredient technologies, because those are the techs that are working behind the scenes, or increasingly ingredients in a lot of the devices and services and software and so forth that we all enjoy. And then next, going back to the show's gadget roots, we'll of course explore a lot of those technologies and trends that are in the marketplace. And the big buzz factor of the show, those technologies that are about to enter the marketplace.
Yeah, that's right. CES is the stage. It's the global innovation stage. We'll see tons of emerging tech. We'll see smart cities. Smart cities have their own marketplace this year. Sports innovation. You can catch a lot of new innovations in the sports area and sports zone. And then finally, digital therapeutics. It's a whole new health-focused technology area.
That's right. So what we want to start off with is an examination of 5G and AI. Two very, very key ingredient technologies. And let me just frame why these are very, very key, because where we sit today, we are in the connected era, which has built upon the first decade in this millennium, the digital decade. If you remember back to 2003, 2004, when you were upgrading to high-definition television, you were downloading MP3s and listening to those on your iPod. Well, where are we now? We're in that connected era. We understand the importance of connectivity, not only in the industry, but also to the global economy. And CES is again, that showcase for that entire continuum of consumer tech. But we want to start with 5G and AI, because these two technologies, 5G and AI, are heralds for the coming digital age, data age, I beg your pardon, data age. And this data age is something that we're increasingly bridging to, and CES is going to set the pace for that. And that's the excitement that we're going to witness for ourselves this week. So, starting off with 5G. So, last year, we really got introduced in a lot of ways to 5G. We learned these guidelines that I've color-coded here for you, and tied more directly to a lot of the super cool trends that we love to talk about. And so the idea here is to really submit for you all the various intrinsic benefits of 5G and where really the rubber meets the road, if you like, for these techs. So we need those higher speeds if we hope to make VR truly wireless. When we think about smart cities, we've already got millions upon millions of nodes on the network. Well, when we start connecting urban infrastructure, adding all these different sensors, we're certainly going to need the greater capacity that 5G networks are going to represent and render. And last but not least, one of our favorite topics, self-driving vehicles. We're certainly going to need the low latency. I would even sharpen that to say lowest or even zero latency. Clearly, we don't want self-driving vehicles to hesitate for a millisecond. So that low latency is absolutely a key ingredient for self-driving vehicles. But the big stories this year, we're finally going to get a view to that event horizon where 5G becomes reality, where it starts to take shape. And some of these stories, as you've probably picked up on, have already started coming out in media. Earlier this week, the announcement with Verizon and Samsung and their plans to deploy 5G residential broadband in California and elsewhere across the U.S. But we'll also hear more about the technical developments around 5G radio. That chip, if you like, that will eventually make it into different devices and nodes thinking about smart cities. So big stories here for 5G at CES. And again, what's exciting here is we're finally starting to get a view of 5G becoming reality. I think we're going to hear more about this as like you guys, we don't always have a perfect picture of what's going to be announced and exactly what's going to be talked about, but we have a pretty good idea that we'll hear more news around deployment of 5G networks around the world from various carriers and other service providers with residential broadband, but also enhanced mobile broadband, which is going to be great for us as consumers because it's going to render a lot of different benefits. And that's going to start to take shape really towards the end of this year, into 2019 perhaps. If true to form, things will happen a little bit quicker than we often expect. That's truly what we often see with tech innovation. But 5G networks starting to sit alongside existing 4G networks to render that almost limitless feeling of bandwidth. Then when we get into the next decade, that's when most people expect to see standalone 5G networks that will really start to unlock the myriad benefits across some of these other economic sectors. But coming back to enhanced mobile broadband, a lot of people want to know, well, Steve, so just how fast is it? Well, it's pretty fast. And this example here with this 2-hour movie download, I think expresses that really well. Here in a 4G LTE world, we're totally comfortable and satisfied. If that takes 5, 6, 7 minutes, no big deal. Well, 5G is going to shorten that down to just a few seconds. And that's great for us as consumers, thinking about how we just love to consume just copious amounts of video on the go on our smartphones. But what I think is more important here, strategically and economically, is thinking about all the disruptive and incredible innovation that we've witnessed in a 4G LTE world. Think about Lyft, Uber, Airbnb. What is going to be possible in a 5G world? It's truly amazing just to ruminate and ponder that. We're going to see some mind-blowing innovation as a function of 5G. But no matter what your focus point or interest in around 5G at CES 2018, you can take your pick, whether it's the technology and engineering thereof, also standards initiatives from various bodies around the world that are setting these standards for 5G deployment. Market initiatives, as I mentioned, we're expecting a lot more announcements from wireless carriers and so forth. Or even if you have interest on the policy front, really a lot of countries around the world allocating spectrum, trying to find spectrum to accommodate that secret sauce of 5G, which is millimeter wave spectrum.
In addition to 5G, artificial intelligence is another one of those ingredient technologies that you'll see throughout the show. So AI has really helped these products develop further down the line. They work alongside humans to really help humans out in terms of processing data sets that they can't do, or